flight RO422, TAROM Romanian Air Transport, Barcelona to Bucharest. We flew this on Saturday the 27th of June 2017, and the aircraft was a Boeing 737-700. But before the flight, we had a quick kick around at Camp Nou.
So how did you think the game went?
I think the game went really well. There were two halves. We played both halves. Both teams played the game, and we kicked the ball, and then they kicked the ball, and we had a game.
Anything more you'd like to say about the game?
Yeah, the game was really great. We played really well. They played really well. Everyone played really well. We were really, really pleased with the game. I think they should be pleased with their efforts too. It was a really great game. It's really good. Thanks.
And on to the airport.
Aeropuerto? ¿Sabe la terminal?
My Spanish is terrible. I know one word, aeropuerto, and cortado, which is my favorite coffee. The flight was at 11:30 and we had to be there a couple of hours beforehand to check in. Turns out, check-in actually opens 2 hours before the flight, and everyone lines up waiting for check-in to open. When we got to our gate, the airport was nice and spacious and clean, but weirdly, there was no plane at our gate. Where was our plane? Turns out we're catching a bus to the plane, which freaked me out initially, but as it happens, it's just a thing. So when we lined up at our gate when our flight was called, it was just the same as any other flight. But instead of going across an air bridge, we went down an escalator and then down some steps, and then we got on our bus, which we hoped was the right one because it wasn't labelled at all. Our plane was a wee way away, so we got an absolutely free tour of the airport from the aeroplane side. We saw lots of planes, and for me, that was super exciting. And then we got to our plane. This is our plane. It's got Sky Team written on it, so we know it's part of a team. Turns out, quite a small team. TAROM has 25 planes. This plane is one of 4 737-700s. It was purchased in 2001, making it 16 years old when we take this flight. It's clearly had a paint job and had the little winglets added at some point, but the interior, well, we'll get to that. Our plane was parked up right beside the taxiway. Super exciting. Just look at all these planes. The last bus with passengers showed up and the little guy dropped his piece of paper, but he got it. Oh no, then another one slipped out. It's okay, no one saw, buddy. Yeah, talk on your radio. Act like nothing happened. The window was quite scratched up, making some of my taxiing video not quite as awesome as I would have liked. I was ticketed for seat 7A, but ended up sitting in 10A, which as you can see is an exit row, and the exit row had an astounding amount of leg room. We took off on runway 07R, which is to the north. This map is not for our exact flight, but it's the same flight number a couple of years later, so we went east. Let's watch this one take off. If you don't want to, skip ahead 1 minute. bit of a line had formed while we had been taxiing. There were 4 or 5 planes behind us. I couldn't quite figure out how come this Aegean airline flight got to sneak past everybody. Look behind you. Look behind you. He's going past you. I don't know why they let him in. I would have blocked him out. I mean, that's hardly merging like a zip. And look at him, he's just going really sneaky slow, sort of, I don't think Italia's going to notice me sneaking past here. If I just sort of look the other way and pretend like it's not happening, maybe I'll totally get away with this. And it looks very much like Aegean got away with it. Gone to the prime spot, right at the gate at the front. I mean, maybe the other ones are going to get to go onto the runway and take off first. Yet again, I didn't get to see how this story ended because we took off. It felt like it took a really long time for us to get off the ground there, but I guess that's what happens when you have 2,660 metres of runway. You're just in no sort of hurry. We were served a hot lunch. First thing I had to do was get my tray out. Because I was at an exit row and the seat at front was so far away, I had a fold-out tray in the arm. Service was quick and efficient. Everybody got one hot item and one little bag full of a bunch of cold items. The lunch in a bag concept was new to me and I was somewhat taken with it. There's a yellow container which has some yellow food inside it. It's definitely quite hot. Okay, let's see what we've got in the bag. We've got a bun. Of course there's a bun. There's always a bun. We'll put that on the hot food to warm up for later. Yum, yum.
Hot food.
And some spread from Denmark. Good work, Denmark. And a pastry thing, vanilla jam with, we think, strawberry from Romania, which is cool. Some instructions, a napkin, and some cutlery. Okay, let's get into it. The main was hot, which was good. It lacked flavour, which was bad. The cheese, pasta, and chicken combination was rubbery. Yeah, 3 out of 10. I don't know if it was just a relativity thing, but the bun was amazing. Soft and yummy. 7 out of 10. The dessert was a little strawberry jam-filled loaf thing made in Romania. I thought it was pretty amazing. It did appear to be impossible to get out of the little pod without breaking it, but, you know, these things happen, and when something's awesome, it's worth a little bit of struggle. My wife wasn't such a fan, but I'm the one doing the scoring, so 8 out of 10. The beverage service was pretty, well, it was a beverage service. I got Fanta, but it was grapefruit flavoured, so it gets an extra point. 6 out of 10. The coffee was like one of those science experiments for children where you have to make it at home. So I got all the things and I put it into the thing and then I stirred it all up. The more I stirred, the more bubbles I got. That seemed kind of fun. Then I put the milk in. Uh-oh! That was... yeah. Oh well. Kind of my own fault, but I'm a guy, so I'm going to externalize that. Someone else's fault. I tasted it. Ugh. 2 out of 10. And when we were done, all the rubbish went back in the bag. That's kind of cool. And then I put the nifty little tray away. Okay, so let's see how average the meal was. The goop got 3, the bun got 7, and the dessert got 8. That was pretty good. The beverage was Fanta, but grapefruit Fanta. So 6, the coffee, 2. That makes the average 5. So the meal was about average. Okay, now let's rate the plane. The interior of the plane was a little bit dated, a bit blah, and check out the screen with the map on it. Oh, that's really ancient. I half expected them to roll down a screen and project a movie onto it. The seats looked really comfortable when we first got on. They looked really, really comfortable, but they were actually a little bit hard and quite closely stacked together. Business class did look quite plush though. I was lucky enough to be in an exit row. Look at all these instructions though, they look really complicated. Maybe I should practice now. Should I pull it? Pull it now? Pull it. 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 No, don't pull it. It'll end really badly. But I did get a huge amount of legroom. Fantastic. The in-flight magazine called Insight looked actually like a pretty normal in-flight magazine, but what's this? Sky Lady. Sky Lady. What? That's just strange. So an old plane with a new paint job, uncomfortable seats and no entertainment system for 4 hours? 3 out of 10. Okay, let's land this thing.
exterioară 23 de grade Celsius. Pentru siguranța și confortul dumneavoastră, vă rugăm să rămâneți așezați cu gesturile de siguranță cuplate până la stingerea semnalului luminos de cașerului. Înainte de părăsirea aeronavei, vă rugăm să vă verificați bagajele personale pentru a nu uitați la bord.
I assumed all that meant it was okay to turn off flight mode, because that's what I did. Look, there's another one taking off. Woohoo! Have fun, team! I couldn't believe how quickly the pilot taxied along. Zippity zip, got to get to that terminal, because I need the loo. When I saw all these planes lined up, I assumed we were going to be back on a bus, but we got lucky and we got an air bridge. It did mean that we taxied for what felt like forever. And when we did park up, we saw these oil tankers just sort of having a secret meeting in the middle of the taxiway. What's going on? A secret tanker meeting to talk about secret tanker stuff. Goodbye, Sky Team plane. We then went all the way across the airport. In fact, it felt like we went around the airport about 5 times. I'm sure these passageways were longer than the actual airport. Took us forever.
Oh, I bet we're on one of them for our next leg. On the bus.
We ended up at baggage claim, which freaked us out a little bit. We didn't pick up any bags. I hope we weren't meant to. We walked down yet another passage to our next plane, which wasn't one of these ones. We were in some weird domestic terminal that had just a whole bunch of bus doors. But that's the story for another day, because here ends the journey for RO422. So how did we go? Well, the meal got a 5 average, the plane got a 3 under average. So overall, that's a 4 out of 10. That's a bit below average, TAROM. Sorry about it. Please subscribe and watch every single video we ever make.